Hillary Clinton is, oh, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there in a way that surprised you. Hillary Clinton is the co-
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Hillary Clinton's interview on Rachel Maddow. I'm not really sure why she was there specifically. Is there a book coming out? I don't know what's going on, but she was on MS-13 talking about a few things, talking about Trump, of course, talking about the day's latest news. But one particular clip really stuck out on my mind where she basically insulted the intelligence of the everyday American. You guys don't know what's going on. You guys can't see what's happening when you go to the grocery store and things are more expensive. You don't know what's happening out there in the world. You're being brainwashed. That's what's going on. Biden's doing a really good job. You just don't know it because of the right-wing brainwashing. Now, before I jump any further into that rabbit hole, let's roll the clip. In this clip, you'll see and hear Hillary Clinton talking about this ridiculous nonsense that she was spewing. After we get done watching that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what was said there. Then I'll give you my 2 cents and my deep detail analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
I think we're really on the precipice, Rachel, of seeing people, particularly in the Republican Party, but not only there, who truly just want power to impose their views, power to exploit financial advantage, power to implement a religious point of view. We see all of that converging. And as you said in the very beginning of your question, this is not an American phenomenon. You know, Anne Applebaum, who I respect greatly, has been covering this from her perch in Europe, particularly in Poland, because we see the signs of it everywhere. You know, democracy is messy. You know, a lot of people got, I think, kind of frustrated looking at the messy process of legislation. And they didn't really appreciate that within a year, the Biden administration has passed 2 major pieces of legislation through both the House and the Senate. They've passed another major piece through the House that will soon be in the Senate. By any measure, those are extraordinary accomplishments, and they really will help many millions of Americans with health care and prescription drug prices, as well as climate change and so much else. But because of the way we are getting our information today, and because of the lack of gatekeepers and people who have a historic perspective, who can help us understand what we are seeing, there is a real vulnerability in the electorate to the kind of demagoguery and disinformation that, unfortunately, the other side is really good at exploiting.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, there's so much to address here, I'm not really sure where to begin. First things first, when she said there's no gatekeepers, I mean, really, there's no gatekeepers? I mean, come on. Okay, the gatekeepers exist all over the landscape, on social media, mainstream media, newspapers everywhere. You have gatekeepers. I mean, she was on a gatekeeping network in MS-13 aka MSDNC. Same thing, right? These mainstream media outlets are pretty much dominated by the left. Not only leftist people and their ideology, but leftist politicians. They're dominated by them. You only have Fox News in the mainstream that is some kind of way conservative. Everything else is on the left. When you go on social media, when you go on the internets, a lot of the left-wing platforms are protected. But see, the problem is that the people are starting to see through the smoke screen. They're starting to ignore the gatekeepers. They are gatekeepers, but they're kind of like just being disregarded, right? It's like if you have some security outside of a venue and they're ineffective, you got all kind of stuff going in there. You got things you shouldn't be having, all kind of paraphernalia, all kind of weaponry. You're bypassing the gatekeepers because they're ineffective. They are there, but at a certain point, they're being disregarded because we know that they are useless. We know that they are guarding the actual misinformation, the actual lies and falsehoods. They're guarding that, trying to prevent us from getting to the real information. So we just work our way around it, come up with alternative media platforms, and we get the truth out there that way. What she wants is for the alternative platforms and the alternative forms of media to be gatekept by the left, which would do nothing but have that platform become another leftist place. So it defeats the purpose. We don't want your gatekeeping. We don't want your version of the truth. All right. And I don't like how a lot of these leftists want to insult everyday Americans. Like, we don't know what's going on. Like, we can't go to the grocery store. We can't go to Food Line or Target or Walmart and see how things have gone up in price. How the dollar is not going as far as what it used to be. How the interest rates are really low. If you got money in a savings account, you're not making any kind of dividends. It's kind of rough, right? We're going to the meme stocks. We're going to the Bitcoin. We're going to whatnot to make money that way, because we cannot make money in the traditional, just put money in the bank account, it'll grow over time. That's done. We know that your Social Security, all that kind of good stuff, that's going to be over with soon. So we're just adapting to what we see out there in the world. We're adapting to what we're getting as far as information from more trusted news sources rather than the legacy sources, which are not trusted. We've seen the legacy news lie over and over and over and over and over again. And if they don't lie like directly, they kind of gaslight or mislead. Here's a prime example of the so-called gatekeepers. They're trying to tell you a story, but we know that its story is not true the way they're telling it. The whole Waukesha thing. I've seen several stories where they said an SUV plowed through the crowd and that it was an accident. So let me get this straight. A human being drove a car manually. I don't mean just manual shifts. I'm talking about he put his hand on the steering wheel. He put his foot on the gas, drove through a barrier slowly at first, slow enough for the police to say, hey, hit the hood. Hey, don't go any further. Slow enough for that, but then sped up through the barrier and hit a bunch of people, little kids, elderly women, all types of stuff. So was the SUV sentient? Did it just have a mind of its own and drive itself? No, it didn't. You have a driver who drove that vehicle through the crowd on purpose. And if it was on purpose, as the police were saying, he's being charged with intentional crimes, then it couldn't have been an accident at the same time. We see stuff like that and we're like, okay, that's just a lie. That's just false. That's gaslighting. Why would we go to the so-called trusted legacy sources when we know that they keep feeding us lies? That's why we're going in a different direction. Joe Biden is not doing a good job, okay? Even a lot of the people that voted for Joe Biden in 2020 are going the other way. We've seen the Virginia election results. That was a complete shock. But when the Biden administration support things like critical race theory in schools, when they support little kids having gender reassignment surgery and stuff like that, when they don't come out against it, which is supporting it, when they don't try to pass things to protect kids, then it's just like, all right, well, that's not what I want. You're not doing a very good job. I'm going to go the other direction. You can't say that's propaganda from the right wing when someone goes to school and they see the lesson plan on the board talking about if you're white, go over there. If you're black, go over there. Is that right-wing propaganda? Is that something they saw on Breitbart or Fox News or Alex Jones InfoWars? No, they saw that in their own children's classroom on the board, written down. They see the teacher with all kind of gender pronouns. You don't know what to call them. One day they're zeros and the next day they're he, she, her, they, ABC, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. You don't know what to call them, right? They're seeing this every single day. And there's problems legally. There's problems socially. Kids are getting attacked. That's what's going on. It's quite simple. And these bills, the Build Back Better, all kind of stuff like that. I just read that in the Build Back Better framework, I guess you would call it, that they're going to, I think, hire a bunch more IRS agents. I'm not quite sure how many. I saw a 1.2 million number. I think that's going to be the investment into the hiring. If you got 1.2 million more IRS agents, I mean, good night. You're going to have a bunch of Agent Smiths walking around, but that's a different story. Anyway, there's going to be a lot more IRS agents, and they're going to perform audits on people that generally make less than $75,000 a year. Oh, they're going to attack the rich people, ABL. They're going to get the rich and make them pay their fair share. Why are you auditing people that make like almost a median household income? What's that got to do with the big fish you're trying to fry to make them pay their quote unquote fair share? What's that got to do with that? And then you see some people try to debunk it. No, well, they're not going to raise taxes. That's not the purpose. Well, if they're not trying to raise taxes, and why they're doing the audits? Obviously, they're trying to get more money from these people. They're trying to extract more cash from these people. Not only are you going to hire more IRS agents, you're also going to have the ability, I presume, hopefully they don't do this, but there's a proposed ability to snoop on your bank account. See how much money's in there? Also, your PayPal, your Venmo, your Cash App, all that good stuff. Okay, you barely eking something out. You're making like $30,000 a year, and they want to see all your financials. Why? Because they're trying to take money from everywhere that they can. They're trying to squeeze, they're trying to squeeze every American completely dry. So if you got $1 to your name, they want 50 cents, or at least 10 cents. They want whatever they can, because they know all these spending bills that they're trying to put out there to make themselves more rich and more comfy, not you. They know all these spending bills are going to cost a lot of money, and they can't just keep printing up money. At a certain point, they got to hedge against inflation. So a way for them to hedge against inflation is to rob you, barefaced, no pistol. That's what's going on. So Hillary Clinton, I mean, I'm not really sure what kind of world you're in. You're worried about stuff like climate change. Don't nobody care about climate change. That's not even really a real thing. That's junk science that Al Gore and Greta Thunberg make money off of. If climate change is real, riddle me this. Why does Al Gore spend so much money on private chartered flights? What's a carbon footprint on that? How about his big mansion out there wherever he lives? How many homes does he have? That's a pretty big carbon footprint, don't you think? What kind of trash is he producing every single day? How about the carbon emission from the landscaping crew and all their equipment and stuff like that? These people are completely full of it. They live in Ivory Towers, Washington, D.C., free out of Washington, Los Angeles, wherever they live. And they rule from up high and tell you that you're ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about. When you go to this store, inflation is good. Dollar Tree is now $1.25 tree, and that's fine. Everything has gone up by 25%. But there's no inflation. It's all good. You have savings, and you've been getting money since like the 70s. It's not worth as much. It's like 50% less in value, but it's fine. It's totally fine. No need to ring the alarm. Just build back better. Vote Joe Biden 2024. That's the message. And I think most Americans reject that message. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what Hillary Clinton said here about Joe Biden, Build Back Better, and the current administration? Is the reason that people are turning against him because of a lack of gatekeepers, a lack of mainstream media doing the job to try and protect Joe Biden? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I stand. I think people like Hillary Clinton are attempting to be gatekeepers. They're attempting to convince you that all of what you see in front of your very eyes, without even watching the news, is false. But it's not working, which is why the gatekeepers have become irrelevant. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.